There's a thing just now on YouTube, a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, that in Berlin they have voted to end landlords. This is, you got to YouTube it. It's all over YouTube. About 2 or 3 days ago. So in Germany, or Berlin, they've decided to actually vote against landlords, which means they're going to take back their property. I don't know how they can do it. The problem is, landlords own all the houses, because tenants can't get a mortgage, but they can rent a room in a house that will pay a landlord's mortgage. So the landlord only has to put the first deposit down, and then after the tenants just carry on paying the mortgage for the landlord, minus the cost. But all the house is for a landlord is a cash generator. It just produces cash continually. It cannot not stop producing cash for the landlord. Whereas if a person or a couple want to buy a house, they've got to meet strict criteria to actually be able to afford to buy a house. They might have to have a 20-year mortgage. Landlord can pay a house off, or the landlord can put a deposit on a house to secure it, to get a mortgage. Can get a mortgage on a house, which once they've put the 25% deposit of the mortgage on a house to get the mortgage on a house, the tenants just keep on, like, it's just like tenants just after a while, after the first year and a half, tenants have actually paid back the landlord the 25% mortgage that they deposited for down on the mortgage, and the landlord then just pay the tenants just pay the landlord's mortgage for about 8 years, and then the landlord just actually remortgages to get more houses and more houses and do the same. It's known as rinse and repeat. But there's almost like too many landlords where there's not enough houses, because they know they can make that much money, but there's not enough houses to buy because there's that many landlords competing for the same type of rental property that produces that cash, constant cash. So they're having to overpay to get the house, the right house. They're going to have to overpay, which will create a there's not a housing shortage. The problem is that all the landlords own all the houses, and people can't afford it. Typical example, I've got to apply for a job. I've got the main member for it. It's even worse. There's problems at the moment, but there's problems with day trading as well at the moment. But I've got to apply for a job at £8.91 an hour, right? Which means basically the first 3 weeks of every month, I've got to actually pay. It's going to take me 3 weeks at £8.91 an hour to pay near £600 rent. It's going to take 3 weeks of every month to pay that rent. That's why you got poverty in the UK. Huge poverty situation in the UK. But the problem is, if the UK was to do what Berlin have done, fight against landlords, well, there's that many landlords in the UK, it would probably cause a, I don't know, what would it do? If landlords sold up, or had no choice but to actually, it's almost like if a motorway is coming through, compulsory purchase, where the state actually just says, well, it's coming through, It's not a case of, well, don't go past that bit there. No, it's coming through. That's what it is, and this is what we're going to give you. At some point, we're going to get to a stage where countries are going to just compulsory purchase houses from landlords, because the alternative is either to in the UK there's no room. They're building houses in floodplains, which floods, and then you've got problems with flooded houses and all sorts of that. And then, what do you do? You've either got to build more houses in more floodplains, or you've got to take back houses, buy back houses from landlords, or build more. And they can't build more, they've got no staff, they've got a shortage of staff. And they've got a shortage of people that can even pay rent, because they're on £8.91 an hour, which means the time they pay the CSA and whatever else off that, and stoppage, they're going to be left with they're going to pay 3 weeks of a 4-week month to a landlord. Poverty is going to be massive in the UK, huge, unless people stop. At some point, people have got to stop paying rent because they can't afford to pay rent because they can't have a life. That's one part, but this is it. It's happening. This is not. It might happen sometime in the next 20, 30 years. It's happened in Berlin 3 days ago. So it's not a thing that may happen. It's happening. And the UK, it's only going to take more countries to do it, more towns, cities to do it. Well, they've got to take back the land. And then if you know anything about van life, and I'm a big fan of van life, how long before Facebook starts to buy land and Google starts to buy land in the UK? Just land to put camper vans on for van life, so they can carry on making vlogs for Facebook and Google. That isn't far away. But then landlords, Facebook and Google got massive deep pockets, billions of pounds pockets, they can buy anything they want. Can the UK turn down 2 or 3 billion, 5 billion for a few thousand acres? I'm not sure it can. And then you've got a proper situation. Yeah. The problem in the UK for poverty is that too many people are renting, and that's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the wages aren't increasing. Like now, universal credit at the end of the year will increase. They're decreasing universal credit for the claimants, but they will obviously increase